Well, hey everyone. It's been a little while since I've done one of these videos, and at one point I wasn't sure I was going to do any more, but apparently here I am. Um, and I wanted to share something today. I was watching The Matrix a couple of nights ago, and I was remembering, or I was watching the scene where Neo meets the kid who appears to be bending a spoon. And it's just before Neo goes to meet the Oracle in that movie. And the kid says something to him, and he says, uh, Neo, do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth. There is no spoon. And it occurred to me, it got me reflecting around so many things that, we're living in this reality which is programming us all the time. It is telling us what is possible and what isn't possible, what is truth and what isn't truth. And it occurred to me, now look, I'm not somebody that knows how to bend spoons with their mind. I haven't dealt with that thing. But it's interesting. I then went off and started to go and Google it and see, well, hey, are there people that do this? And there's a person that teaches, spoon bending with your mind. Now, I haven't engaged with them. I don't know if it's true. But it was interesting to me that my first reaction to watching that in the movie was, okay, I don't think that's possible according to my worldview. But these days, like anytime I come up against something like that, I'm so like, yeah, what if you're wrong? What if I don't know the truth? What if my perception here is inaccurate? And and I just wanted to share a video today to get you curious about, what if all the restrictions you experience in your life are just programs? They're things that you've been programmed to think, and you act and believe as if they're true. And a lot of the times they serve us until they don't, until they start to become restrictions. And at that point, we have to then begin to open up to the possibility that what we've been taught is true might not be true, might just be a program. And if you look, you'll probably see there's been things like that in your life. There's been things which you believe to be true with a big T, as if they were objectively true. And then at some point, you started to experience restriction from that idea, maybe questioned it, or something happened. And it caused you to see, oh, well, maybe that's not true. And you started to realize a new level of freedom, and you broke through a restriction, or you came to see something anew that helped you open up to a new way of being in the world, right? And it strikes me that that's the journey of finding our freedom, is not conditioning new ideas into us and new big, new truths, new programs, right? There are things that do that. There are modalities that try and get you to break down, old beliefs and then put in new ones. But what if we don't need any of them? What if we can start to become curious about all of them being potentially restrictions and start to ask ourselves, well, what makes sense in this moment? And very much live less with the need for these ideas of what is true, and instead come from the potential in the moment and see what arises in us in a moment, um, and see what's true in that moment. So, it was another example. I was thinking about all the things in my life where, I've had a sense of what I believe to be true, and then it's been a restriction. So, on some level, um, well, I was thinking about my relationship. So for years, I was told that my wife and I, at the time, we were not married, but it was like, oh, that won't work. And I acted as if that was true, and that was what kind of happened. It didn't work out until some part of me started to get curious if that idea was not really true. It was not really solid. It was just a program. And the moment I started to get wind of the fact that maybe it was just a program, a whole new reality started to get created. Um, and it opened up to a totally different dynamic in my relationship. Um, my health recovery journey was one of those things. On the one hand, being told, oh, people don't recover from being sick with chronic fatigue syndrome. And again, sort of acting as if that was true for a long time until a part of me started to go, well, what if that's not true? And having to look again and see afresh and see anew and open up to the possibility there was a new reality that could be created. Um, it strikes me that all of the things where I felt restrictions in my life and then later broken through, it's because I've seen through a program that I believed to be true at the time, and then started to realize that it wasn't true. It was just a program, just an idea, right? Um, and it's something to get curious about. Like, if you feel restrictions in your life, what's the truth that you may be holding on to and believing is really solid that might not actually be a truth? It's just a program, right? Maybe you have something you want to do, but you can't do it because it's just true that you've got to be a good person, or you've got to be responsible, or you've got to do things in a certain way. Now, that may look like a solid thing, but what if it's not? What if it's possible for you to act in a way that might seem irresponsible to the way you might have done it before, but might actually be responsible to the moment, in response to the moment, as opposed to some program that you just follow over and over again? And often that's an uncomfortable thing. Like, the more we start to look through and question what we believe to be true about ourselves and the world that we live in, yeah, it's uncomfortable. It causes us to, our mind to go into a short circuit, because our mind likes to box things in, doesn't it? It likes to go, well, this is this and this is that. And what I'm talking about here is actually beginning to live as if those ideas have a back seat. And that takes some doing. It takes some willingness to sit in the discomfort. It takes some willingness to trust that maybe it's okay to live in that moment and trust what comes through us in the moment, even if it does go against our program. Um, so, just a little reflection today, something to chew on, and I hope it's helpful. Hope you have a nice weekend. Sending lots of love. Take care.